One new camera jig ready for use. Looking good. Hi everyone, my name is David. Welcome to Qube. Today we're gonna be making a camera jig. I got the design from Ben at Woby Design. He made the files for the camera jig, and we're gonna be making that today. But of course it wouldn't be Qube if it didn't have a little color in it. So let's go, let's do it. First thing I did was download the files from Woby Design. You can get them there. Only thing I did was printed everything on a A4. It's standard European size. We're gonna be doing this in metric, by the way. And the only thing I did was cut everything up so I can rearrange everything to apply them to my stock, which is going to be birch plywood with some colored veneer. There we go. If I did everything right, this should be 60 by 30. Nice, sweet. Now we're gonna rearrange all the pieces for the camera jig on top, just to be sure it fits. And then we're gonna be gluing some colored veneer on top. I think I'm going for red and orange, since my existing one is blue, but we'll see. Sweet, that looks perfect. I've got some room to spare. Yes, let's go get some colored veneer. I have some leftovers from earlier builds, but I don't think it will be enough. Let's see. Maybe, nope. Let's see what we can do. I have some bigger pieces as well. These will work great. Maybe I should do this. Let's see if we can go for a red and orange one. Oh, that was a close one. We don't have much room left to spare, but I think we'll be alright. If not, we'll make these two out of another color, maybe yellow. We'll see. Next step will be to glue the veneer on top of the birch plywood, and we'll pull these two together as well, so we'd have a very tight seam in between. The way I go about this is we take some normal tape, nothing too fancy, and you just pull the two parts together. Of course, you have to make sure that before you start, both of the edges line up really great, really nice. If not, then you can shim it a little bit with a veneer saw, or even on a table saw, if you be gentle about it, if you're really careful. Or if you're handy with a hand plane, that works great as well. That's plenty enough, to be honest. If you have one piece of tape every 10 centimeters or something like that. If you want, you could add a long strip along the edge as well, along the seam. But to be honest, we're going to be pressing this on top of the birch plywood anyway, so I wouldn't really worry about that one. I'm going to be gluing this up with some normal wood glue, nothing too fancy. It will be indoors all the time, and well, I don't have a lot of moisture in the shop here, so I don't have to worry about that either. If you can get yourself a hold of one of those silicone brushes, they work really good. When I'm gluing up veneers, I'd like to add a little bit of salt on top. This way the veneers won't slip around while I press it down. You can do this with, I don't know, you can put some weights on top, you can put it in between another panel and squish it with some clamps. Today I'm gonna put it in the press simply because I have one. Let me bring you a little closer. Yeah, that's better. What I have here is a torsion box with some plexi on top. If I was to spill some glue or even epoxy, it wouldn't be bad because the plexi protects it. A little coat of wax now and then and you're good to go. Always close the caps, otherwise there won't be much pressure. While we wait for that to dry, we might as well start working on the 360 degrees jig. What you see here is basically the first version I made of Ben's camera jig, but I've added this little whatsmadoodle so I can rotate the whole thing 360 degrees, which allows me to, well, sweep around the entire shop. It's really easy once you know how it's done. I'll put some free plans for you down in the description. If you like to give that one a go, it's yours, go grab them. Let's see what's happening here. This has been pressed, I think 2 or 3 hours already. I've had lunch in the meantime, so let's see. There we go. The seam is nice and tight. We'll give it a quick sanding, cut the ends off, and then we're good to go. Before we start attaching the templates, we're going to give it a quick sanding. These are going to get sanded afterwards anyways, so you don't have to overdo things right now. We're just trying to eliminate the glue squeeze out here and there. For these templates, you can use whatever you prefer. Double-sided tape, glue spray, you can stick them on with some tape. And for me, I'm just going to use a glue stick. It's fast and easy, and to be honest, it doesn't need all that much. We're going to be sanding it afterwards anyways. There, not bad. I almost messed up there. I don't think I have the same pattern as I did when I was dry fitting, but hey, we got everything on. Let's get over to the bandsaw to cut these babies up. Off camera I gave all the pieces quick sanding to smoothen the edges and stuff like that. The pieces that have to be identical I glued together with some double-sided tape so they would be identical, and this will help as well for the next step, which is drilling these holes. Here's where the first conversion from inches to metric really happens. If you look at the design Woby or Ben from Woby Design did, you'll see he marked the red ones with a 1/2 inch diameter. I'm gonna use a 10 for that. And maybe just for the record, the blue holes will do that with the same one. So the 10 will push these all the way through, so they have a little play in them. Be careful with this one though, we don't go all the way through with this one. And last but not least, for these last holes that go all the way through, I'm gonna be using this one, which is a 7. And what's nice to know is that I'm gonna be using these bolts, which are actually M6 bolts, which are about, I think, 7 centimeters long, maybe more. Oof, 8.5. So it's M6 8.5 long. Everything is shaped and cut to size, so we can safely remove the templates now. Only thing left to do now is give this a quick sanding, because there'll be some small residue because of the glue, and we're gonna give it a nice little chamfer just because it looks great. Hey, and just like that, it's coming alive. Let's give this a quick sanding. We'll chamfer the edges, and then it's time for the assembly. There we go. Next step, let's get this baby assembled, and then we'll shoot some videos with it. What do you think? We're gonna be needing a couple of those. And some of these, and a couple of these. There we go. All jokes aside, we're gonna be needing 15 of these long bolts, 15 of these wing nuts. I'm gonna be using these wing nuts instead of the hex nuts that Ben is supposing to use. A whole lot of washers. And for the T-nut, I'll be using this nut with a thread insert. I've used it on my first build as well, and to be honest, it works like a charm. It's in there. So we're going to be doing that again. Let's go. Next step will be knocking all of these in, and we're going to be using a little jig for that as well. Well, it's not really a jig. It's basically a block of wood with a hole in it. We're gonna start with one side of the jig to get these bolts in. Whoops. To get these bolts in. And it's really easy, to be honest. You just put one in. Bench adjusted to line up the nut with the grain of the wood. And then for me, I have this block of wood with a hole in it, which allows me to put the bolt down. And we'll just whack it with a hammer. Next is going to be putting everything else together. We'll get a bucket of washers close, and then we're good to go. First layer, I'm going to put in one washer everywhere, and in between the first and second layer we're gonna add 2 washers. That's why we need a whole bucket, or 75 to be exact. You'll notice that this one is loose, but that's okay. This way we can adjust the tension on the bar we're gonna be using later on. To align these arms, it can be a little bit tricky, especially when these holes are too tight. But the trick is, if you lower them both sides at the same time, you'll have no problems. Final step is adding these wing nuts, and then we're good to go. And we're gonna give this baby a little test. Looking good. And there we go. That's it. One new camera jig ready for use. Whoops. I really like the colors though. This will be amazing for top-down shots when I'm working at the new bench, or when I have something on the new snap maker. And that's it. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. Camera jig and 360 jig all ready and done. Next week we'll be back with something different, something colorful. Probably a magic wallet, but we'll see. If you like to see some more things behind the scenes, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye!